have a message today, and so they are going to share. Like I said, this is a live discussion, so if you guys have questions. But first we're going to go ahead and, so I'm going to introduce everyone. This is Mr. Terry Raposa, and if you want to say anything to, or introduce yourself just a little bit.
Yeah, my name is Terry Raposa, and a lot of people want to give their background and everything. Mine is, I was born in the Palo Alto Hospital because I wanted to be with my mother.
And Terry has also, he's been a part of making this form that we're going to show you guys that is for businesses to protect them that want to stay open. Now we also have the owner of the Palomino Room here, Carlos Zapata. Go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Carlos Zapata, owner of the Palomino Room, husband, dad, and figure. So we have a lot to say today, so I'll save it for that.
All right. And then this is the leader of the Cottonwood Militia, also an owner here of the barbershop in Cottonwood, and this is Woody Clendenin. He's also stayed open during COVID closures.
Yeah, I'm Woody Clendenin. I have a shop in town here, and I'm also a husband and dad, and it's time to get some rolling here, so that's why I'm here.
All right. And it sounds like
project your voices, because it's hard to hear back there too.
And if you guys are a business, you're tuning in right now, or know someone that has a business and has questions, that's why we're doing this today. All right, and then Terry, I understand, so what are you guys providing that you say kind of protects these businesses?
Well, we got together and we were talking about how our liberties being taken and how this COVID virus has now taken over our lives. We've surrendered constitutional rights, our churches aren't meeting. And I guess COVID is a very smart disease because if you go to Walmart, you won't get it, but if you go to church, you will. So I think that we've all wanted to take a stand for our liberty. And what happened is that Dan Scopel here and Woody Clendenin and Carlos, tremendous leaders of the community and leaders of the militia. And these gentlemen have decided that what we need to do is to protect what we have in our constitutional rights. We need to protect those rights. So we came up with this notice that we'd like to...
I'm going to mic you and read that notice as well, if that's all right.
All right.
Just put that on your collar.
The idea was to give something to a business if they choose that'll show that there are people, all of us, we the people, are there to back them. We're there to back them so they are not having their constitutional, God-given rights trampled on. There were some things that entered into this, a few things that we've had so many lawsuits against different people that are in the government. Gavin Newsom. Do you have a lawsuit against a criminal? If we have people in agencies or people in the government that are breaking the law, shouldn't they be accountable to the same laws we are?
Amen.
So with that, Dan Scopel and I had a talk. Mark Baird, the founder of the state of Jefferson, put all our thoughts together, and this is what we came up with. Notice, the Emergency Service Act does not provide extra constitutional powers to any government agent or agency. These premises are protected from undue and unlawful intrusion by government agents and agencies under the laws of the United States Constitution, and its Bill of Rights as outlined in Amendments 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, and 14. These premises and the businesses conducted therein are also protected by the California Constitution and its Charter of Rights. Harassment of this business, its owners, employees, or customers who are engaging in lawful pursuits by any and all government agents or agencies will be prosecuted under Title 18 United States Code, Section 241 or 242. Civil remedies will also be sought against said agents or agencies under United States Code 42, Section 1983. These rights and premises are protected by the California State Militia. Be advised that harassment and interference of the lawful activities of this business by any government agent or agency may be met with resistance.
I'm going to take her up with a car.
Go ahead and post that for you guys here as well if you want to read back of that. We'll make sure there's a copy. And so what exactly is the goal with this though? We're hoping that businesses will open up and take one of these.
I think that's a great question for Carlos.
All right, let's open up this discussion.
So-
We're all done. I'm going to transfer the mic.
So today's the day where we're actually, I think, entering a new chapter in our career mission. How are we going to deal with this game that we've been playing for the last 9 months? We've had enough. We've done a lot of the things they've asked of us. We started out being compliant, but at this point, we have come to a decision, collectively as a community, that we're not going to tolerate it anymore at all. It's completely unacceptable, unlawful, unconstitutional, and we will start calling out the propagators of this, government officials at every level, for being what they are, which is criminals. And we can't, at this point, lawfully or morally follow these mandates or these orders anymore. So it's a call for business owners not only to be courageous enough to keep their businesses open, but to really look at themselves, look in the mirror and ask themselves, what does an American patriot look like? What does a business owner look like? What does a mother, a father, a responsible citizen look like? And to me, that looks like somebody that does the right thing even when it's difficult and even especially under the pressure of unlawful mandates and threats. We will not be threatened any longer. We will not pay your fines. We will get arrested if we have to, but just know that we have the power and the force of good American citizens and of the militia. I have never in my life had a moment where I felt like I needed to be part of the militia until now. And Woody will talk about this and talk about the resources that are within the militia that are available to business owners, to citizens out there, because we are here to protect them. But this is the time in history that will be remembered as the time when good citizens stood up. And we stood up and we stood together and said, you know what, this is our 1776. This is our moment. This is not our time to stand by. It's not our time to sit on our butts, to sit on our hands. It's our time to act and to do things and to get back to normalcy right now. So at this hour, that's what we're saying. And we're going to stand by you. You are not alone. You can no longer believe these threats. You no longer believe that you are in any kind of peril or danger if you choose to defy what these unlawful criminals are telling you to do. And a message to these agents that are coming, because I myself personally have been harassed, my family's been harassed. We have had law enforcement come to our house. We've had the FBI come to my house. I guarantee you we're being watched and listened to. And listen, we are not here to pick a fight. You have picked a fight with us. We are not here to start a war. You have started. Okay, and at this point, we'll no longer sit on our hands and watch our children watch their parents cower to a government that doesn't give a crap about us. So I have a lot to say tonight. I can speak a lot to my experiences and what I've gone through and what we're doing now. But this is really a call for everybody, including the agents and officers who are in law enforcement and you peacekeepers. Be the peacekeepers that you were sworn to be and uphold the Constitution that you swore an oath to. That is our calling collectively. It is to, at the end of the day, be loyal and faithful to the Constitution, because at the end of the day, that's all we have. When all else fails, that is what we go back to. That is our bottom line. Because it is not the government who issues us our rights. Our rights come from one place, and that is God, recognized by the Constitution.
Come on.
sick, for 9 months now, watching groups of people who are patriots. I believe they do have the best of intentions, plead and beg to a government. That is not American. That is the least American way to go about things. There's something to be said about blunt defiance, and that is the course of action that I have chosen to take, and that is the course of action that I implore every other business and American to take, is absolute blunt defiance of these unlawful mandates. You are on the wrong side of history if you fall in line with what's going on right now. I'm not going to take up all the time. I will answer questions. I do at some point hope that we address the mask issue, because that seems to be at the forefront of everybody's minds and the most visible, way that people are complying. So, what do you think?
Let us know too if you guys are businesses watching. We want to hear where you're from, and if you have questions for us, if you have questions for Carlos or Woody here.
I wanted to, well, it's hard to go after Carlos, but I wanted to talk about, like, in my business, just to encourage other businesses. Early on, I never closed one day. And I remember the first day sitting in my shop, and there was not even any traffic on the road. It was like a nuclear warhead went off or something. And for me, it was a really sad day. I mean, it was like the day Barack Obama got elected. I was sick to my stomach. No, but I was sitting there and I was so disappointed in our country. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, people are going along with this, But, I always go back to the Constitution, because we talk about it a lot in the militia. And I knew right off the get-go, there's never a time, the Bill of Rights doesn't call in sick. There's never a time where they have the authority to tell you when you can be open, or choose who's essential and who's not essential. So I had the county and the state board both call me, threaten me with fines, threaten me with taking my license. None of that happened. No fines, no license taking, and not only that, but my business has gotten huge. I can't even keep up with it, because people are craving bravery and leadership, and it's time for all the businesses, all you businesses, everyone wants to support you. All these threats are empty threats. They can threaten you with, so far I've heard there hasn't been a single liquor license taken in California. It's all just been threats. So it's time to stand. I want one more thing that's super important to me, and then I want to mention the militia, is a new thing has happened in the American church, and like about 50, 60 years ago. I'm not sure it coincided with getting a tax-exempt status or what, but the church, all down through history, Christian men have been leading this country. All the great patriots were, for the most part, Christian. And suddenly now in churches we have a lot of good Christian people taking the easy road, saying, well, it says we're supposed to comply to the government, and I think some of them really believe it, but it's a lie. We're supposed to stand up, and we're supposed to lead. Our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, is our founding document, and it talks about your inalienable rights. And if you believe your rights came from the government, then you should believe they can take them away from you too. So, in that spirit too, I want to say that it's time. I don't know why every able-bodied person hasn't joined a local militia. You look at what's going on, everybody knows this election, there was fraud throughout it. Everybody you talk to, I haven't met one person that doesn't think it. I mean, it's a time right now that we're going to have to stand up sometime between now and the 20th in one way or another. I don't know what that looks like, but this is the time that if you sit on your hands, you're going to look back and you're going to be telling your grandkids about when America was a free country. And I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. So we're just inviting you, get a hold of your local patriot groups, get involved. You can't just sit around anymore and complain. Get plugged in and get involved, like your life and your freedom and your grandkids' freedom depends on it. Right now.
That's
real quick, you guys, and see if you can hear us better this way. I'm gonna come around. Just let you guys know that we're getting some support from Oklahoma here. All right, you guys let us know how the volume is.
You know, Woody said some very, very powerful words, and one thing I think about is, what story do I want my grandkids? I would rather my grandkids out to put flowers on my grave than me tell them it's right. You can imagine, you know, I mean, we all had the glorious privilege to grow up in America, where we value our freedom. You know, where we used to flag, where there's like police officers that heard the anthem, not because it was just a song, but because what it represented our liberty. And America really is the last bastion of freedom. Once this is gone, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, I'm telling you guys, once America falls, like it's going to fall, if we don't do anything right now, there is nowhere else to go. We're going off. You know, we can talk to the Cubans, talk to my parents, talk to the people that came here in search of a better life. And America is that, you know, shiny city on the hill that David talks about. You know, and to tell our kids, our grandkids, that that's gone, you know, what we're fighting for, can't do it. You know, we won't do it. So if you hear the seriousness of my voice right now, the emotion, and what I'm saying, you guys, we have to fight. We absolutely have to fight. And it's no longer fighting by Facebook posts or Instagram messages. It's no longer fighting by ideology or philosophical talks around the kitchen counter. It's no longer bitching and whining with your friends about what's going on. It is now a point of resistance where, as Terry read earlier, the last words, you know, say you may be met with resistance, should be changed to say you will. And really because we love this country, right? We are patriots. We are willing to die on this hill. We are willing to give our lives for this country, and many of us, you know, have served in the military. A lot of us haven't. Okay? That doesn't matter because to me, there's been a shift in the warrior culture from the military and law enforcement to the citizen patriot, and that's important to know. That these patriots will fight harder for their freedom on their own land than we've ever fought anywhere. So that has to know. And if you think that these men and women aren't prepared to do so, you have something else coming. I have literally hundreds of thousands of messages from patriots across the land, and even supporters in Canada and Australia and other countries around the world who are willing to be here at the drop of a hat. If we put the balloon up right now and we say, hey, we need all of you here, they will be here, and we better bet your ass that everything we have, that they will fight until the death, full of trust. And that's where we're at. This is no longer about talk. You know, over 6 months ago, I gave a speech that was heard around the world to our county supervisors. That speech is nothing. That speech is nothing without action. Those words are empty words, and I am many things, but a coward I am not. So just know that me and many men like me are willing to do, you know, awful things so that we can restore, you know, what is ours. Because we really believe it's ours. If somebody comes into my home and they take what's mine, you can bet your ass I'm going to get it back. You know. So if you think that we want a revolution, no, we don't want a revolution. If you think that we want, you know, to upend this country and do something different, no. We simply want to restore what we know is already ours, that we already own. Inherently, by being Americans, whether we were born here or whether, you know, we were naturalized here, we all believe the same. And I'm telling you, for myself personally, you know, I will fight until my dying breath. You know, so
You know,
And I want to get specific on that as well, if you want to say something.
well, you know, the one thing I think if we look at the elephant in the room, and Woody brought it up, In the Declaration of Independence, there's a word called self-evident. What self-evident means is that you don't need proof, it's self-evident. Our rights come from God, like what he said. They don't come from man. Only God can take our rights from us. The Constitution doesn't give us rights. It's the line in the sand the government never crosses. And we need to go after these people if we as the moral majority, and we talked about the churches, as the moral majority, if they would vote, and every gun owner in California would vote, we wouldn't have this problem.
That's right. Yeah.
How many people here are for the Second Amendment?
That's right.
Oh, good.
You want the silver bullet? Number one, without representation, nothing matters. Nothing matters without representation. If our voices aren't heard and our vote isn't heard, then nothing matters. Number two, the Second Amendment. If we don't protect the Second Amendment, if we don't have the Second Amendment, then how do we protect our God-given rights?
Amen.
And what do the liberals say? They say, well, you know, oh yeah, we need guns, I like to hunt. Well, what? You think that when we put through as a country the Second Amendment, that was something that was brought about because we were afraid of the squirrels and the rabbits taking over the government? Or were we afraid of a totalitarian government like we have now, especially in California, that would happen? And our state would be run by criminals. Number three, when these people get elected, we have to give them an apportionment. In other words, they have to have a certain amount of people in our state legislature that they can actually represent. You can't represent 1 million people. You can't represent 500,000 people. There has to be a smaller apportionment. And also, don't they have to be accountable to the same laws we are?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Don't they have to be criminally prosecuted like we would be for a crime?
Yes.
Governor's a felon. Title 8, Code Section 1324, the governor's a felon. What Title 8 United States Code, Code Section 1324, states is that you may not, shall not, harbor or shield an illegal alien. Is he doing that with the sanctuary state?
Yes.
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4 of the United States Constitution, we specifically gave the position of naturalization to the federal government. We gave them that. That's what we did, that little Constitution thing, right? We gave certain things they could do, and if they ain't in there, they can't do it, right? But they do it anyway, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Will we let them?
No.
No.
No
Are we gonna
more.
stop letting them?
Yes.
Carlos has been wonderful for this country. You know why? He's every man who stands up. He's defended his country. He has a family. He has a business. He cares about his community. He cares about his God. He cares about what's right and what's lawful. And that's where we need to be, isn't it? Probably preaching to the choir in here. But God willing, there are people out there that understand. One last thing. If you go to church and your pastor tells you, as Carlos was saying, and what he was saying, that you should obey the government. Really? Oh, truly? That we have to respect the government and do as they say? Is that what the Bible says? Because if it says that, then Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego are the 3 biggest sinners that ever lived. Because they told Nebuchadnezzar to stick it, didn't they? They would not bow down and worship a golden idol. They would only worship the true God.
I want to break in here too, just for a moment, Terry, if you don't mind. So, a lot of people are starting to tune in, kind of asking, catching up on this live feed. So what we're doing right now is having a discussion. We have some local business owners, patriots, that are calling on other businesses, saying it's time. They have made up this form that basically says that your business, if you choose to open up, they will support you, and that you are protected by the U.S. Constitution and the Cottonwood Militia. So here we have the leader of the Cottonwood Militia, Woody Clendon, with us. We have Carlos Zapata. I want to get specific though. So what are you guys willing to do at this point? You want people to be open, but how are you kind of offering that support? You're saying you're willing to show up.
Well, it's the California State Militia, and we have platoons all over. There's one in Redding, Willows, all over the state of California. Well, everywhere where there is a militia platoon, our guys stand ready to do whatever it takes to help you. If you need somebody to work your door, keep government agents from coming in and harassing you while you attempt to do business, we're willing to do that. I think to a man, I haven't talked to one of our guys that would be willing to do that.
So has that happened yet? I mean, what's that going to look like though if these ABC agents do show up? We have some local business owners on right now. We have San Francisco Deli. We have Pigs in Shasta County. We also have people watching from Kansas City right now, Marysville, Bakersfield. So thank you guys for tuning in. What's that going to look like?
You tell them, they come in your door and you simply say, hey, you're not welcome here. Unless you want to have a sandwich or a beer, you're not welcome in my business. I have a right to do that. You are unlawfully here. And like I said earlier, there's something to be said about blunt defiance. Follow Ian Smith from Attila Stim in New Jersey. He's done a fantastic job of setting the framework, setting the path for us to follow. He's kind of written the book there. I'd like to say that I did first, but you kind of, he did the right thing. Listen, he accumulated, I think, over $1 million in fines, and he kept tearing these things up and telling these people, no, they boarded him up, he tore the boards down, he pulled himself up in his business, he was willing to go the distance with them, and guess what, he won. They left him alone. Why? Because there's not a goddamn thing that they can do. There's nothing that they can do to him. And he knew that. He knew that there was nothing they could do. I know there's nothing they can do. They might make you sign a piece of paper, they might tell you, they might threaten you, they might, try to hold your feet to the fire, but I'm going to hold their feet to the fire. I'm going to hold them accountable.
Well, one thing in our conversations, you guys are saying that if everyone were to do this is basically kind of your goal, then you don't have a target on your back. Because I know I've talked to a lot of businesses.
There's power in
that
numbers. And I'm sick and tired of these people that, I've been called out from both sides. People have said, hey, you're so mean to other business owners. They have a choice. They're scared. No. If you're scared, you have no business running a business. You should have never gone into this marketplace at all. Because it's not for you. This is not for the weak. This country wasn't founded by weak people. And when I see them, but they came in here, but ABC, but this, but that. Then get out of the game. And when they close your business and you can't feed your family, you're going to have to look your kids in the eye and tell me you're a coward. I'm not doing that. I have a family to feed. And these cops, these agents who say, oh, well, I'm just doing my job. I hate it. Oh, I hate it. This sucks. They tell me, oh, this sucks. Oh man, I need to go, do something else or whatever. Listen, you can only use the "it's my job" line so long before I'm going to call it bullshit. And I'm calling bullshit right now. You need to go find other employment. If I had an employer, my employer wanted me to go to your house and keep you from making a living, I wouldn't do it. Not now, not ever. Because I'm an American, a patriot, we're a countryman. We're fellow citizens. We don't do that to each other. So if you want to stop me, this guy, from feeding my family, you have something else coming. If you think we're not going to fight, you're out of your dang mind. And I speak for a lot of people. I'm up here representing a ton of Americans who feel the exact same way.
People, if you have questions, post them in the comments here, and we'll address those. Make sure you put that. All right.
So just to go along with that, I want to address these people that think that it's a good thing to do to go around ratting your neighbors and your businesses in your local towns off. Don't think we're going to forget who you are. Because we're not going to.
Yep.
We know who you are. We see the lists. I don't want you in my community at all. I mean, to me, that's the lowest. You can justify it in your mind all you want to, but if you'll rat somebody off and harm their way of life and the ability they have to make a living over a coronavirus with a 99.8% survival rate, you'll do it over worse things when it really counts too. We just don't need you in our community. I don't even want you here. So go move off down to San Francisco or somewhere where
Yeah, thank you, Woody.
With that, since we're not pulling any punches, just know that we also are collecting intelligence. We also have people on the streets. We know where you live. We know who your family is. We know your dog's name. So if you think for 1 second that we're going to let you spy on us without us doing our due diligence and spying on you, you're absolutely wrong. So just know that next time you think about calling in because the Palomino room is open and has people in there, and because we're having a good time, or because Dill's Deli is allowing people to sit inside, or whatever business it might be, if you think you're anonymous, you're wrong. Your anonymity ended a long time ago. And we don't talk about everything we do, but just know that we know a lot more than you think. And you are not going to be welcome in this community, like what he said. We're not going to make you feel very comfortable in our community, because we feel that in the North State here, we really are the last bastion. We're the last stand. And if we don't stand, we literally feel like all eyes in this country are on Shasta County, Bahama County, Siskiyou County, or in these northern counties right now. All eyes are on us right now. What we do will set the pace and tone for what the rest of the country is going to do. And the Shasta County, it hasn't been able to say that ever about anything, you know, and we can now. And we can be really proud of this. And the fact that the people in this room, the people that are watching, the people that are going to see this later on, are going to have an opportunity to write history. You know, our grandchildren will read history books about what we did, not only today, but from here on out. And the day that we stood up and said, enough's enough. You know, this is it. You know, if we think that we're just another page in history, no, we are going to be the history book from here on out, because our country really depends on what we're doing right here. If these words fall on deaf ears, our country's done in about 3 weeks. If good patriots stand up and do what they know they need to do, you know, at the guidance of good leaders, we keep our country. It's really that simple. That's how serious this is. I'm not a cliche guy. I'm not much for, you know, regurgitating things that I hear. I don't believe in any of that. What I do believe in is inspiring people to do what they already know is right. And I believe that we're doing that tonight. You know, from what I'm seeing here as the messages are populating, I know that we're making an impact, and it's deep, and it's far heard. So everybody, you know, listening to what we're saying right now, just listen, get groups together. I get asked, and this is probably where I'll hand it over to Woody,